7 minutes. I shall reap. Something that we all would do well to get fastened deeply in our mind is that we are constantly living in a system of reaping and sowing. You are reaping, you are sowing. And there's a guarantee. The Word of God says, God is not mocked, for whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. And so every day, either with intention, we're sowing to the Spirit, or by default, we're sowing to the flesh. The realm of the Spirit, the realm of faith, everything we do, it is done by intention. It's not natural, it's supernatural. And so we don't just do it by default, we do it with intention. However, default, the works of the flesh, are starting with envy and vanity, and it leads to murder and all types of sexual unfaithfulness and perversion, doing whatever your flesh wants to do. But as a Spirit-filled believer, what flows from us, because we're Spirit-filled and Spirit-led, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. Against such there is no law. But that doesn't just happen. It happens as a product of us intentionally seeking the face of the Lord and living in a way that says, Lord, I want to please you today because I love you. You've given such great sacrifice and such blessing to me. How can I live in a way that honors God? And so that's an intentional sowing. You know, weeds require no planting. Thorns and thistles come up of themselves. But if you want tomatoes and flowers, if you want potatoes and spinach and watermelons, those are seeds that you intentionally sow. And when you intentionally sow them, you have things that are valuable and add value to the world around you. However, if you just leave it like it is, what naturally comes up isn't things that would be naturally valuable and adding to the beauty in the world around you. And such is our spiritual life. Intentional life, intentional living with an idea, I'm going to sow it. And if you and I as believers would adopt an attitude, adopt a philosophy that is in fact reality based upon the Word of God, I shall reap. And if I'm going to reap, I want to intentionally sow those things that I want to grow in my life. Now, there's a lot of things that grow up of themselves. Weeds come up by themselves. Thorns come up of themselves. Poison ivy comes up of itself. And there's a lot of things that we reap in our life that we didn't sow. It's a product of the fallen world. It's a product of decisions that are made by people that influence our world, whether it's our bosses or our governors or our presidents or terrorists or all kinds of evil that's in the world. We are affected. We gain a portion of the harvest. People that we love may make bad decisions, and we live within the harvest because we're directly connected to them. However, there's a portion of the harvest that you play a vital part in, and you and I must decide to understand there is a guarantee. Whatever you sow, you will reap. And so I can, with intention, determine a certain portion of the things I will harvest. I shall reap. Say it with me. I shall reap. And so within that context, it is important for us to understand that the Lord has given us many keys in the Word of God that will help us to determine the harvest we will receive. Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy." And I don't know about you, I need mercy. And how I receive mercy from God, and ultimately in the world around me, is I sow mercy. Mercy is given. Mercy is never deserved. People that do you wrong, from a natural standpoint, we have every right to hold a grudge, right? Because that's the way of the flesh. But there is a higher law than the law of the flesh. It is the law of the Spirit that frees us from the bonds and the chains of the trespass done against me. And I'm able to step my life up above the gravity by making an intentional decision. I will not hold a grudge. I will not be merciless. I will give mercy. I will forgive. And that enters us into a whole new higher law. The law of the Spirit is higher than the law of the flesh. Just as aerodynamics is a higher law than the law of gravity. But aerodynamics only happens when someone makes a lot of intentional decisions to live within that law, to travel within the law of aerodynamics. But when those preparations cease to happen, what do you have? You have a plane crash, right? I shall reap. And so my 7-minute message today, as my time is rapidly descending, is you're going to reap. But God has given you the authority, the power, and the opportunity to decide. I'm going to pray. I'm going to forgive. I'm going to be merciful. I'm going to be cheerful. I'm going to be abundant in my life and living and giving to others. I shall reap. Well, thank you for joining with me in these few moments. And if this blessed you, you feel like it could minister to someone, share it, comment, subscribe to the channel. But most importantly, God's not mocked. Whatever you reap, you will sow. So today, this week, the rest of this year, let us live with intention that says, I know harvest is coming, so I will not be weary in well-doing, because I shall reap, because I'm not going to give up. And God bless you. Have a great day as we all step into this day, reaping, even in some places where we have never sowed.